The first step in the LAMA, and I'm going to see if I can be smart enough to put my screen on now. Share this screen. All right, now the LAMA technique. So what's it all about, Alfie? Let's find out what has to happen. All right. Now, if you look at this slide and you can see it completely, you will see that it's all one thing, really. Listen, acknowledge, make a statement, ask a question. That's the whole LAMA technique. Now, I gave you a little handout there where there's a square, a box for each. If you didn't get the handout or you don't have it now, what I want you to do is just get out a piece of paper, because you can't do this on the internet. You cannot. I really do want you to write down what I'm going to tell you to write down, because I want you to look at it later. And I want you to pay attention to it. And if you're in the call center, I want you to listen for it on the phones. I want you to listen to other people. And of course, really get this is fun. If you write chats or text messages, you can use the LAMA for that as well. And you will see the results instantly. They will be so much better than what you think they are, than what you think you could obtain. I noticed when I used to have live chats, now I don't know, they're robots or something. Nobody's really talking to me, so now I don't care about them anymore, because it's artificial intelligence, and they don't understand my artificial intelligence. And so they don't hear my problem. But the goal is always on the call to listen to whatever the customer says. You can also acknowledge that you heard what they said, or even what they wrote in their text message. And then you can comment on it. Now, if you want in a text message to get a message back, if you want one, you do want them to respond, you need to end on a question. Let's go to dinner tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the Chess Lounge. Now, you might get a response. You might not get a response. They might wait an hour. They might be busy in a meeting. They don't get back to you. All kinds of things can happen because you did not ask a question. So instead, how about we go to dinner tonight at 7 o'clock at the Chess Lounge? Call me back or text me back by 5 o'clock so I can make a reservation. Okay? Question mark. That way you're in communication, and it's going to come both ways. So if you're doing something like an email, you can do the LAMA in the email as well. I had a young woman who came to me the other day, or a few months ago, and what she said was that she wasn't getting a good mark from quality on her communication by email to other people in the company. And she said she didn't know how to write things in a nice way or something like that. And she just put out orders. And when she did, other people became offended by it. And so I said, all right, I'll teach you the LAMA, and you can use the LAMA. And what happened was we spent about a half an hour writing LAMAs down that she could use as a template for anything. And it was a lot of fun, because she said, I never thought of doing that. And I say, that's right. I know you never thought of it, and you were never taught it. And so it's not your fault. No matter how dark it is, as soon as you turn the light on, it doesn't matter how long it was dark. It doesn't matter. The light's on now. And for you, the light is on. And now you see how it works. So when you begin to see how it really works, you're going to have a masterful ability to communicate with your species, and they're going to love you for it. So here's what I want you to write down on your handout. Oh, I have old slides and new slides. The LAMA technique is a 4-step technique. First, you listen. Then you acknowledge the other person's, whatever they say. Then you make a statement about what they said or about what you want to say. That's how you can change the subject. And then you end on a question, so you give them back the conversation to start in again. By the way, on a customer service call, it always happens in the beginning. I don't know why they never catch on that it should be like this throughout the whole call. They say, hi, this is Judy McKee from McKee Consulting. How may I help you? Okay, bingo. LAMA. Customer says, oh, I really need something handled by 4 o'clock today. Now, if you say 4 o'clock, I don't think we can do that in time. What? Now we have a problem. So instead, you want to say, oh, okay. So you've got something that you need handled by 4 o'clock. I can absolutely look into how fast we can get this done for you. Is there someone I should call besides you, or just you? Would just let you know when we can have it, so that I would always be in control of this conversation. That's the key. Control the path of the conversation. You don't say to the other person, you can't have it. That's not our policy. We're not sending it out to you. Too bad for you. None of that. We're going to say, we really like you, and we are going to fix this all in a very wonderful way. All right, now here's what I want you to write down on your note paper. I want you to learn to hear without judgment. Now, this is practically impossible. It's practically impossible. The only thing you can really do is you can hear, you'll see yourself judging, and then you stop it. That you can do. You can. Because we all have our own mindsets of the way things ought to be. We have a picture. We have a thought. We have a depth. Just like I said, I didn't know why the man wouldn't like me just because I didn't like his song. I wouldn't do that to someone else. If someone else didn't know my song, I'd think of another song. But the idea is that everyone, every single person is unique. Every single person in the world is separate. They're really not separate, though, in their mind. You and they are alike in this way. You both have a picture and a thought of how things ought to go. You may not agree, but you do have that thought. And so you want to definitely be able to hear them without judging. Now, like I said, it's the hardest thing to do in the world. I still have a problem. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a woman at a charity that I work at. And I just judged it all over the place when I started the conversation. And then I realized I was doing it, so that I just stopped. And I stopped defending my position. And she still got her way. I didn't get my way. But you know what? That organization is going to continue and flourish without me, even though they don't do it the way I want them to. I mean, it's amazing. So what you want to do is hear without judging. Don't jump to conclusions. And if you can learn to do that, your life will change in a big way, believe me. And here's what I want you to write down next. Find the emotional driver. Find the emotional need of the other person, because that is what we're going to move to acknowledge. The emotional need of the other person. I was training air gas safety once, and we were training outbound calls, and the agent called a company he didn't know who was the person who made the decisions. It was an outbound call. And so he said, may I speak to the person in charge of supplies? I think that's what he said. And the woman said, well, I guess that must be me. I've been here for 17 years handling the supplies. Now, when that happened, he just said, well, we have sunglasses and safety glasses and on sale, blah, blah, blah. Well, the phone call did not go that well. She didn't buy any new products. And when he hung up the phone, I said to him, what's the first lesson in LAMA? I was coaching him. And remember, I said, never make people wrong or stupid. So I could already make him wrong and stupid, but I would rather him see how it didn't work. What works and what didn't work. It didn't work. And it started at the very beginning of the call because he did not find the emotional driver of that person. And yet he could have, because she gave it to him. She said to him, I've been working here for 17 years. Now that I would have heard that would have sounded like it was coming through a microphone through the stadium hall. It would be so loud. I would hear that. So before I would start on my own agenda, I would have acknowledged that person. 17 years in one place. Oh my gosh. No wonder you're ordering also all the supplies. You probably know the supplies for every single department. Well, do you actually place the orders, or do you get the orders from somebody else and then you place them? And He said, well, I never thought of that. And I said, yes, that's right, because you need to listen for the emotional need. If they're anxious, if they're fearful, if they're excited, if they're angry. In this case, she just needed acknowledgement. So you have to really, really, really listen. They write books about it, but you don't need 10 books about it. You need to hear what the other person says without judging them. Or the minute you notice you judged them, you have to stop it. And it's hard. It's very hard. But because we're like machines, we're machines. You think we artificial intelligence in a machine? We're a faster machine than they are. We judge instantly. They have an accent. They have a way of speaking that we don't like or approve of, or our mother didn't. We make that judgment call. We are little machines, and we need to understand that. So we need to not judge them and move very quickly to the next part of the LAMA technique. So that is the end of listening. So pay attention, write it down in your book. Hear without judging, or if you judge, immediately notice that and stop. Don't jump to conclusions. You actually do not know. You think you know by past experience. But the light was not on then. The light is on now. Find the emotional driver of that person. Listen for it. They always give it to you. I've been calling your company for 13 years. Okay, what? They're angry. They're not acknowledged. They're anxious. They've already prepared for this call before they dialed the number because they knew you were going to resist them. All right. So learn to find the emotional driver of the other person. Listen very hard for it, because that's what has to be in step number 2. Step number 2, you have to acknowledge it. This is the end of part 1.